As our planet faces unprecedented environmental challenges, the European Union has taken a bold step towards sustainability with its ambitious Green Deal initiative. But what does this plan really mean for the future of Europe and the world? Discover with us the European Green Deal, a far-reaching and all-encompassing plan that seeks to revolutionize every facet of society and the economy. Join me today as we delve into the intricacies of this innovative initiative and consider its capacity to shape the destiny of Europe and the world. The European Green Deal, EGD, was unveiled by the European Commission on December 11, 2019, and the first round of legislative proposals was introduced on July 14, 2021. These ideas involve many impending activities, from creating and developing cross-cutting policies to accelerating the transition in key economic areas including energy, industry, mobility, pollution, biodiversity and food, to enacting a European climate law. The EGD is simply a collection of initiatives designed to promote economic growth while minimizing resource use and greenhouse gas emissions. As a result, goods sold on the EU market will have to adhere to stricter sustainability requirements. The EU solution to the emergency created by the climate crisis is the EGD. It consists of a series of regulations whose goal is to make the EU economy resource and climate efficient by 2050. From agriculture to energy, from transport to construction, the EGD covers every area of the economy. As a result, important policies and initiatives like the Farm to Fork strategy and the New Circular Economy Action Plan are included in the EGD. The EGD regulations will affect imports into the EU and trade within the EU, and probably environmental and sustainability criteria could subsequently become more stringent. This will result in greater requirements for exporting companies from underdeveloped nations to the EU. The number of decisions made over the next 2 years will decide how much of an influence they have on business. In any case, to be ready to adhere to higher standards, it's crucial to be aware of the goals and objectives of the EGD. If your company exports to the EU, you should be aware of the effects of EGD policies and ready your company for them. The EGD is a thorough strategy for a carbon-free Europe. It offers a plan of action for drastic reductions in greenhouse gas emissions, intending to do so by at least 55% by 2030 relative to 1990 levels, and turning the climate crisis into a chance for more sustainable economic growth. The EGD lists the financial resources that must be invested in and used to finance a climate transition. To ensure this transition, the EGD is also recommending updated and new rules in specific areas. The EGD aims to protect the health and well-being of European residents from environmental hazards and the effects of climate change, as well as to preserve, maintain and improve the natural resources, lands and ecosystems of the EU. Up to 2% of Europe's GDP will be invested in greening the economy to meet climate goals, including new infrastructure, public procurement, R&D and industry reorganisation. The EGD also aims to take the lead in international efforts to combat climate change. But the EU needs the help of its friends and trading partners around the world to accomplish its climate targets. It is aware that some regions, businesses and workers will find it more challenging to make this shift. Hence, to ensure a just transition, the EGD will adopt a fair and inclusive strategy. The EGD will have varying effects on imports into Europe. It will force SMEs to submit more information about the products they export to Europe, in addition to raising the bar for sustainability in industrial processes and primary manufacturing. In the near term, costs will go up, but in the long run, this will make it easier to compete in a sustainable global market. Existing regulations will be altered by the European Green Deal to improve the sustainability of supply chains and corporate operations. In the production and processing of goods and services, there will be stricter criteria for social and environmental sustainability. The market is moving in favour of goods that have been demonstrated to be produced in a sustainable manner that is respectful of human rights, even if rules and regulations do not alter or do not become effective for many years. In other words, consumers, especially larger businesses, are looking for products that have been produced, processed and packaged following strict guidelines that respect the environment and human rights. Leading international retailers and Bangladeshi garment workers have reached a 2-year accord that extends a previous agreement that subjects merchants to legal actions if their factories don't adhere to labour safety rules. Fundamentally, all major food and beverage companies have pledged to properly source their agricultural products, and the fisheries industry is doing the same. Companies are expressing their desire to develop a market for clothing and textiles that respects human rights and uses sustainable materials. For example, high-end retailer Zara declared 2 years ago that by 2025 it will only use sustainable fibres. All of this translates to a rise in demand for goods and services that are produced responsibly. The regulations and policies outlined in the European Green Deal will only strengthen this desire. For SMEs who already produce food and textiles following strict sustainability requirements, like the organic sector, this opens up a big possibility. The requirement for knowledge about production and processing methods will also rise. Several pieces of legislation are being considered to enhance the obligation of European producers and retailers to disclose where, how, and what effects products have on people and the environment during production. These include new rules on non-financial reporting, as well as laws on environmental and human rights due diligence. Also, the availability of products promoted as sustainable has expanded because of voluntary sustainability activities from certification programs and business initiatives. Sustainable certified products now make up a sizable share of the market in various industries. The longest standing sustainable certification dates back over 30 years, and it's to coffee. In the past 10 years, other recognised commodities have witnessed an increase in market share. Occasionally, this expansion began even sooner. Increasingly, consumers expect seafood from both wild capture and aquaculture to adhere to fundamental sustainability criteria. The EGD has numerous ramifications for Africa. The economy of oil-dependent and mineral-rich African nations will be significantly impacted by a fall in European demand for fossil fuels and a rise in demand for cobalt, nickel, and other essential minerals for the energy transition. But the EGD effects on the entire economy go beyond the energy transition. As part of its farm-to-fork policy package, the EU seeks to take the lead in establishing ethical food standards around the world. Exports of African agricultural products to the EU may face extra non-tariff barriers if certain standards must be met to get access to the European market. The energy policy of the EGD also intends to replace fossil fuels in the carbon-intensive energy mix, increase clean energy, and assure an affordable energy supply. To accomplish these goals, a European phase-out of oil by 2050 may result in a decline in oil demand and a fall in the cost of oil for African suppliers, especially after 2030. The phase-out of fossil fuels is already affecting upstream investments in hydrocarbon projects in Africa by European development organisations, concessional lenders, and private financiers. By reusing and recycling resources, the EGD Circular Economy Action Plan seeks to lower material throughput. All sectors are intended to be guided by the plan, with a particular emphasis on resource-intensive industries including textiles, building, electronics and plastics. The relocalization of a portion of the circular economy value chain to African producers could strengthen manufacturing and open up new business opportunities for some sectors in African nations. This would enable those sectors to focus on higher value activities. Thank you for joining us in this exploration of the European Green Deal. As we've seen, this ambitious plan could have far-reaching consequences for the future of our planet, and it represents a crucial step in the fight against climate change. By committing to a carbon-neutral economy and promoting sustainable practices, The EU is setting an example for the rest of the world to follow. Don't forget to like and hit that subscribe button if you've enjoyed this video. And thanks for watching.